So I've created a project from the default Revit template, so let me load in the family. So you can go up to the Home tab of the ribbon and click on Component, and I'm going to load a family into the project now. So you navigate to the folder, so I'm already at my casework folder. So first I'm going to load the base cabinet that has a countertop and the L-shaped one. I'm going to load both of those at the same time into the project. And you can see over here on my type selector, I'm currently placing the base cabinet plus counter. It's 24 inches deep, 36 inches high. So when you're placing it, you can hit the space bar to adjust the rotation, and you can move into alignment with an object, and there you go. You can see it in your 3D view and in the elevation view. So the first thing that you'll notice about this family is that the length of it is adjustable. From the plan view, you can see the grips that allow you to stretch the family. So I'll stretch it over to the wall over here. And of course, over here in the list of parameters, you can adjust the length to whatever precise value you want. So I'm going to change that to 8 feet. There are also a bunch of other instance parameters, so let's take a closer look. So I'll zoom in. You'll notice that in the 3D and the elevation view, you can see the countertop and the backsplash. If you click on the family, those are parameters that you can adjust. Here's the parameter for showing the backsplash. I'll turn that off. And here's a parameter for showing the counter. The reason we implemented that was we also have separate countertop families that you could put over there independently that would be able to stretch well past this one and maybe overlap on top of other base cabinets. So let me turn the countertop back on. Show counter, show backsplash. If you take a closer look at the elevation view, sometimes you'll want the counter to overhang a little bit past the end. So we have parameters for that. We have a left and right counter extension. So I'll click on that checkbox to turn on the right counter extension, and you can see that happen in the plan, 3D, and elevation view. And the counter extension lengths are also instance parameters right down here. And if I wanted to complete this, I might need to put a splash over on that side wall. So we have a left and a right side splash. I'll click on that parameter and apply it. So there you go. So that's a quick look at the straight base cabinet. Now you can obviously swap that out to the L-shaped one. So I'll do that right now. So there's the L-shaped one. And it has the same collection of parameters. The one additional one that it has is there's a left for the right and left-hand side. So if I change that, you can see it update there in the 3D view and the plan view. So let's take a look at the upper cabinet. So let me zoom back out over here. I'm going to go back to my component tool, and I'm going to go to load family again, and this time I'm going to look for my upper cabinets, and we also have a straight one and an L shape there. So loading those families, it's now placing the L shaped. I'm going to switch over to the upper cabinet. The straight one, 12 inches by 30 inches deep. I'm going to place it from the plan view and align to the stuff that's here. And again, this works the same way as the other base cabinet. You can click on it and it's got grips to stretch the length. And if you want to be precise about the length of this, you can type in a value there, right there on screen. And there it is from the elevation view. So the parameters, I think, are pretty much the same. Actually, there's not much in the way of instance parameters. The parameters here are all type parameters, such as the height, depth, and this parameter called apron height, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. So let me swap this over to an L shape, 30 inches, and there you go. So there's the L-shaped version of it. I guess the only parameter here to think about is the top of cabinet, so you can control the height of the cabinet by adjusting that parameter, and here's the overall height is controlled as a type parameter. So I was mentioning a parameter called apron height. Let me create a building section right through there and open up that building section view for you. So you can see there is a little apron in the front of the cabinet. So that is controlled by that parameter I was just mentioning under the type parameter, this apron height. If I change that to 0, there you go. You can see it's just a box instead of the apron there. That back to where it was before. Now sometimes if you're cutting through this object, you'd also want to see a hatch pattern through that, and that can be easily controlled by assigning a material. So there's material parameters for each of these. Here's a cabinet material. I'll click on the parameter and I'm going to assign it this cabinet material, which has a cut pattern through it. Stretch that over the way so you can see it a little bit better. So cabinet has a cut pattern through it, and I'll click the OK button, which is off the screen there. So now you can see that there's a cut pattern through the edge of that cabinet, and you can see in the 3D view colors are applied to it as well. Alright, so that's the initial placement of the base and upper cabinet. So the plan there is at an early stage of the design you can just drop those in and you're not doing the detailed design of where each door and drawer is placed. But when you're ready to do that, we've got you covered. The premise here is that you'll just apply to the fronts of these cabinet front families. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to go back to my component tool. I'm going to go over to my type selector. Oh, sorry, I don't have them loaded yet. So I'll go up to the load family button, and I'm going to load my cabinet front families. So you can see we've got a 1 drawer, 2, 3, and 4 drawer options. You can look at the preview. We've also got double doors and double drawers, double door and single drawer. So lots of different variations, as you can see, single door. So I'm going to load the whole collection into my project at the same time, and then I can place them. Now it's best to place these from an elevation view. We developed these families so that they're actually face-based families so that they will attach to the surface of the cabinets and then move with it. So I'm going to do something here on the base cabinet. Let me just look for a double door. So there it is, cabinet front double door. I'll move into the elevation view. I'm watching for the blue highlight for the face of that cabinet, and I can click to place it exactly where I want it to be. So it's best to work on these, I think, from the elevation view. These cabinet front families are very flexible. They have instance parameters for the width and the height, which of course can also be adjusted over here, but it's easy to just stretch them into place if you need to do that, and I'll stretch that over there. Now you may be noticing that there's a couple lines on here for pulls. We created parameters to control those graphics. So there's parameters here for showing the pulls at the middle or showing them at the top or the bottom. So I'll turn off the ones at the middle, and it just shows at the top. Now the reason we've phrased this top or bottom is because the same family can be used up here with the upper cabinets. So if I go to place another one of those by creating similar, place it on the face up here, I can rotate it, right, and move it into place. And again, oops, I must have missed the face ever so slightly, so let me try that one again. Go back here, create similar, watch for the face to highlight, and as long as that face is highlighted, you should be able to place it exactly where you want, and then again just stretch it into place. So you can control the pulls, the appearance of the pulls. You can also display knobs instead of pulls if you want by changing that parameter. And there's also controls for whether or not you show the shelf line, so there's a little checkbox for that. Turn them on and off, and a quantity right below that to allow you to adjust how many shelf lines are being displayed. So the premise here is you can just start placing these. If you want to swap this to a different combination, maybe I want 2 drawers and doors, you can click on that family and you can swap it out to a different combination. If you needed something off to the side, you can click on one of these, stretch it, copy it right next to it, and then adjust the copy accordingly to something different. So it's a pretty quick and flexible way to place to do your design for the cabinets. And of course, when you go to a 3D view, these are just kind of line families so that you see through them to the cabinet below. So let's take a look at another family. So let me go back to the plan view here. I'm going to go back to component, load family. Let's take a look at the tall cabinet. Load that into the project, and it places just the same way as everything else does. I'll place that on the screen, and again you can see it from all those different points of view. So these same cabinet front families will work with this particular object. So let me go back to component and find my cabinet front. So I'm going to just look for the double door option, and you can see I can place it on the face, hitting the spacebar to rotate it. So again, I just kind of throw it in there pretty quickly, and I usually work on it from this elevation view in order to adjust it and fine-tune it. So I'm just stretching it out with the grips there. And when I want to control the appearance of the pulls and the number of shelves, you just go over here and adjust the parameters. So I want to show the pulls at the middle, not at the top or bottom, so those will now disappear. And I'll adjust the number of shelves that are being displayed. Alright, so that's a look at the base and upper cabinets, the cabinet fronts, and the tall cabinet. Let's see what else we got in the library here. Back to load family. So we've done the base cabinets, the cabinet fronts. Let's see. So the countertops, let's take a look at those. So there are 2 different countertop families that we created. So they give you a couple extra parameters that you don't have when you're working with the one that's attached to the base cabinet. So let me place them from a plan view. Component, countertop. So I'll just do the L-shaped one and just throw it in right there. And we'll look at it from a 3D point of view. So you can see a radiused corner here, so that's an additional option that we have in these families. So when you click on them, there's show the backsplash on the left and the right. There's the left and right side splashes, you'll see those come in. And there's also a parameter for showing an apron in front of those. And since we put the curved radius on there, there's an option to corner radius on the right and left side, and you can change those values accordingly. And of course the overall width and length, so you can see those adjust. And that, of course, can be swapped back to the straight version. There we go, countertop straight. There's the straight version of that. Let's load some more. Component, load family, scroll down on the list, and we created a couple island families. So I'll load those into the project. So this one is the island that says 24 inches deep. Again, hit the space bar to adjust the rotation. Click on the screen to place it. Looks like it came in with the countertop off. I can click on that, tell it to show the counter, apply that to that instance, and you can see it right there on the screen. There's options for left, right, and back counter extension, as well as an option to show a back toe kick. So when you click on that, you can see the recess cut out of there. And the left, right, and back extensions are on here. So the purpose of the back extension is if you put a big distance like that, it can be an overhang as an eating bar. You could also swap this out to the other island family that's called with an eating bar, and the eating bar is at a different height than the other object. So it has basically all the same parameters, but there's also an upper counter depth. So I'll change that value, and you can stretch the upper counter to whatever value you want, and the same sort of extensions that are available. So lots of great parameters there. And last but not least, let me go to the component family one more time and hit load family. We created an adjustable shelves family, so we were real happy with how this came together. So I'm going to load that into the project, and I'll just place it on the face of the wall. It comes in at the floor level, but that's easy to fix. Click on it, and there's an option for offset, so I'll move that up to 4'6". There you go. So I'll zoom in so you can see this has 3 standards and 3 shelves. You click on it, let me change the shelf length. So I'm going to change that to 6 feet and watch the number of standards. There's formulas in the background that control how many standards are displayed. There's a standard spacing option, so I'll change that value and apply that. Changes the number of standards, and brackets adjust accordingly. There's a standards height parameter, so I make these things a little taller, hit apply. You can see the standard stretch. Well, I need a new shelf, so there's a shelf quantity parameter. We apply that and adds another shelf in. Maybe there's only supposed to be 3 shelves, but they're supposed to be a little further apart, so we'll adjust that quantity again and change the shelf spacing parameter, and it allows us to adjust the graphics. So there's a lot of controls in that family, and we think it works really great. So that's a quick look, well, maybe not so quick, but that's a look at our myCAD Casework family. So we hope you like it, and if you're interested, get in touch with us and we'll hook you up. Thanks. Bye.